Episode 25. I'm sorry, what's happening? There's no secret that there's a lot of tension and anxiety right now, owing largely to the election. And I don't want to get into that specifically, but in trying to understand what I'm feeling around the election and the state of play, I started thinking about bigger themes that I'm noticing in life, my life, and society at large, struggles that our generation is having around securing the quote-unquote American dream, getting that house, starting a family, a lot of it to do with money and the cost of things, earnings, and earning potential, but other things globally, how we have become increasingly globally minded. We are not only the United States in isolation, but we are part of a much larger community, and we can engage with those communities much more readily. But there's a lot of pain and suffering and anger and sadness and all kinds of negative emotions that are surfacing that we tap into for better and worse. That awareness is good, but it's also difficult for us to process. Wars in the Middle East and across the world, and how do we process that, even if that war isn't one we're directly a part of? So anyway, all of this thinking in my head and around what's going on in the world. Where's the joy? When we get up in the morning, how do we find happiness? What is the thing we look to help us build an optimistic worldview? It's difficult. It's absolutely difficult. And there was a time when I thought of myself as a happy, optimistic person, but adulthood has worn me down a little bit. Life has worn me down. And I think there are a lot of other things that are feeding that. But what I typically do, as you all know at this point, because you've hopefully been listening to this podcast, is I take those emotions and those thoughts and I try to process them in writing and put them all together and see what comes out. And it's been a little while since I've worked on any poetry. This is an attempt at getting back into that space. It seemed like a good medium for this kind of expression. And so I give you this poem, which I guess I'll just I'll title the same title as this particular episode, I'm Sorry, What is Happening? Because it really is just sort of an exploration of what is going on and where do I fit in it? How do I feel about it? How do I engage with it? And no easy answers here, but it is an expression of where I'm at, and maybe it brings some things to light for you. And if not, hopefully it at least evokes some emotion and sparks some thought. So without further ado, I'm sorry, what's happening? Wait, what is happening? What is happening? I parrot myself, making sense of myself, heads and tails, the upside down in each of us, the best of us. These days, these tangled, misshapen days, and all the ways we crease and cave to make a little room for sun when all we know is none, just crashing waves and hurricanes. What's normal when cars swim and trees fly? What's stable when cities sink and mountains crash, when priests are predators and smiles seditious? Where do we begin? Where do we end? And for what decent sense of us do we still fend? Is it too much to wall ourselves in now, to stop exploring, to snuff the feeling, to squelch the appetite for breathing, to raise our kingdom of selves and be just hard survivors, braving through the storm that buries the sun? Who needs that burn anyway? Oh, I know. I'm one of the privileged ones. I am, no doubt in my mind. Higher in the food chain, dreaming still a thing, eating still a thing, my own bed, my own domain. But I still ache. Is that okay? And I still wake to find the world a splintering fog, angels and demons all the way, every way, and I could not tell you which from which on any given day. Some have said that's okay. Each generation has their crisis melee, their charge into the din and smoke. But we're not charging? No, no. We're not together. No, we're not seeing. No, we're flailing, fumbling, fidgeting, and all the unfamiliar, aching whatever steps we've climbed. There is no thin-aired parapet where sociopaths look down. We're all in it now. All on fire now. Oh, you'd say I'm a doomsayer, I suppose. And I'd say you're right, but for one thing that might redeem me. My inexplicable love of humanity. What a sorry sot to come home to. You, to bill my life to. You, that invoice constant paid, but for worry, angst, and ire. God, what a maddening mire. What a choice to be in the fray, not charging toward it, but in it, not fending for it, but feeding it. And me. That's me. I'm as good and bad as anyone. I know it. You'd see, too, if you just knew what I've done and what I haven't and all the plastic pride I've vaunted. But God, just the same, I love us, damn defectors, true protectors of the hope that slithers through the quake. Sometimes I slither, too. Sometimes I wail, sometimes a thing far worse. But let it through, I say. That surreptitious serpent, give her at least one more day. That hope in all unending fray. And maybe when we've tired our bones to dust, the dark clouds will surrender, the wind act in other plays, and hope will be clearer than the summer sun. Smiles will be real again, and all creation breathe. Maybe. But maybe I'm wrong, and all this happening is our ending, sloppily and soon. Who's to say? Not me. But if we are soon nothing more than animated animals, one and all of us, I love us all, for that I am finding is the stuff of us. So as I was taught, at such a thought, I say, Amen. Be it be in some way, in the great way, that way, us together, sun and sun.